a bad feeling about this.
It's just a little bit over 2 months before Disney Star Wars' latest project, The Acolyte, premieres on D+. And we finally got a trailer. Yep, finally got a trailer. The Acolyte, you may have heard, takes place 100 years before The Phantom Menace in an era known as the High Republic. It's described by Wikipedia literally as this. A former Padawan reunites with her Jedi Master to investigate a series of crimes, but the forces they confront are more sinister than they ever anticipated. Well, that's the story we're told, but perhaps the most interesting story is the origin of this whole thing. So it is, of course, created by showrunner Leslie Headland, who's famous for a number of television shows, including, let's see, we got most probably famous for Russian Doll. She's done some work on Heathers, Black Monday, Single Drunk Female, some films, The Bachelorette, About Last Night. Honestly, very female-centric films, but that's fine. Whatever. She's very clearly out as a known lesbian, so if she wants to make films focused on that, that's fine. But more than anything, she's perhaps famously known for being the personal assistant of a former Hollywood executive producer named Harvey Weinstein.
And God, Harvey Weinstein.
Yes, once known as God, according to Meryl Streep, Harvey Weinstein is, of course, famous for, some very bad behavior, flat out sexual crimes, which got him convicted and spending basically the rest of his life in jail. Now, mind you, Ms. Headland was his personal assistant for 4 or 5 years. Personal assistant takes care of all your needs and everything. And she, of course, knew nothing about anything that occurred when Weinstein was doing all his nasty crap.
I know nothing. Nothing.
Given that the president of Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, is very much on the diversity, inclusion, and equity train, and very clear that she very much wants to have a very female-focused Star Wars. It's not really surprising that she chose Leslie Headland to create and run with the show.
Put a ticket in, make her name it gay.
Now, the concept, we're very limited, but we've seen a lot out there on it. I actually found a Collider interview where Leslie Headland gave an interesting perspective on the type of show that she wanted to make, talking about how the Jedi are always generally seen as good, but what if sometimes they weren't so good? What if there are some darker elements? And she explained this to Collider about a year ago. I think it was at Star Wars Celebration 2023.
I'm really interested in Star Wars from the perspective of the bad guys. Then the Jedi become the antagonists. Not the bad guys, but they become the bad guys to the bad guys.
Now, legitimately, that kind of sounds interesting. But unfortunately, at the same time, she goes out and explains that, some of the inspiration for this show is based on her fan fiction.
I did do a couple of RPG campaigns. There are a couple of characters from those campaigns that may or may not be in the show.
And also her love of Frozen and Kill Bill.
Frozen meets Kill Bill. I'm curious what that means.
So yeah, that's all a little confusing with the themes. And of course, the other thing, if you've watched any of the interviews that the stars have had on this show, they're really not talking about the show itself. What they're talking about, what makes up the show. And the most important thing, of course, is diversity.
The world of fantasy and sci-fi in general, it hasn't felt like a safe space always for people of color.
Yes, we finally have a diverse group of actors who are able to portray characters in Star Wars, because that's something that no one's really had an opportunity to have before, apparently. And the way that these interviews go, you get the sense that this is the most important thing they talk about.
To see such a diverse group played out now,
Honestly,
I know that it's going to be a healthy reflection on so many other young people.
All the interviews are basically talking about how I'm playing this character that hasn't been played before. Perhaps an Asian character being portrayed in Star Wars.
This is the first time you're getting to see an Asian Jedi, in JJ. It's, it's a pretty big responsibility.
So yeah, for me, that's kind of problematic. I mean, look, it's fine if you have a bunch of diverse actors in Star Wars, as long as it's a good show, right? As long as it's a good, solid show, well acted, that's fine. But the problem is we're not hearing about that. All we're hearing about is the fact this is a diverse group of characters. So maybe we'd have something in the trailer, which would be interesting to add to this. Well, I've watched the trailer a couple times and I'm really not getting anything other than diversity. So let's take a look at this trailer and point out a few things that I saw as it went through it.
Close your eyes.
I'll just leave the captions on for the moment.
Your eyes can deceive you. We must not trust them.
I'll say this. What I understand is that this is not filmed using the volume. This is filmed using practical sets, effects and such, not the volume. So I think it does look good. I think that's an advantage that this show would have compared to others, especially The Mandalorian, which the volume is very clear, and or similarly was also using a lot of practical sets. And I think that made it look good, gave it more of a cinematic look. Maybe this will have that as well. It's just difficult to tell. The aesthetic, I think, is pretty good. I like the look of the Jedi costumes. I think it looks fine. Young Jedi being trained. This looks kind of, traditional Star Wars, aliens all over the place, Mos Eisley style.
Balance. I see fire.
Now, I've seen a lot of jokes online about, told to close your eyes, and this poor guy here, he kind of looks like a Rhodian. Can't close his eyes. At least doesn't look like he did. Even the guy in the back, even the furry little Padawan there's got his eyes closed, but our poor little quasi-Rhodian can't close his eyes. It's ocular discrimination, I guess. This I do like. That's Carrie-Anne Moss. Carrie-Anne Moss plays a Jedi named Endara. I like Carrie-Anne Moss a lot. I enjoyed her in The Matrix. I've enjoyed her in a lot of the things she's done. This coming up is what I don't like, and I'll tell you why real quick after it finishes. Okay, so what I don't like about this is I don't feel this is Star Wars. I feel this is very much martial arts, kung fu style, karate style fighting. I'm not saying the Jedi are not trained in martial arts, but this fighting style is very similar to what we see in a lot of recent action films. The close-up hand-to-hand punching. I don't think it's distinct. I don't think rather what I say is it should be more distinct in Star Wars. It should look different. And then the whole slide back where the force push is fine. The force push is fine, but then sliding back on her toes. That to me, that is just the Matrix to me. I know I saw it somewhere in the Matrix, Neo being pushed back or something like that. That's not, I'm okay with that for stylized martial arts films, but I don't think it fits in Star Wars. So now the question is, who is this person here? It's possible it's being played by the actress's name. I think it's Amandla Stenberg. I think this is the character who's played the former Padawan named May, I think. So I don't know if she's Padawan to...
Someone is killing Jedi.
So that's the story. Again, this looks good. This looks good. I mean, you do get a sense, not clear, this is special effects, but I think it feels a little more cinematic. Wookiee Jedi's fine.
What happened?
That looks good. Again, we're going to see some of this martial arts fighting style, which I don't necessarily think fits in Star Wars. That's just me. That's just what I know of Star Wars. Now, I've never seen it afterwards. And again, this is 100 years before Phantom Menace. So in that 100 years, the Jedi just said, no more use of martial arts, no more of this fighting style. Now, again, we get this fighting character using the knife, using the force to stop. I kind of really think that Jedi Master would have taken her out by now. This is another character. I think she's playing some sort of witch, played by Jodie Turner-Smith. And Anesia. Not certain what her role is, but as you saw, maybe in part of the interviews, you may have seen her talking about what a strong, powerful woman she is.
This isn't about good or bad.
Again, that goes in line with the Force is female idea.
It's about power and who is allowed to use it.
Now that is Daphne Keane, who is previously best known perhaps for playing X-23 Laura, the Wolverine clone in Logan. I enjoyed her in Logan. Did a decent job there. Hopefully she'll be able to do a decent job here.
What is that?
So all the lightsabers spark up. Did you notice the yellow lightsaber? Before, there was only one different colored lightsaber before among the Jedi, and that was Mace Windu's purple lightsaber. But now we have a yellow one. I kind of think that's because Rey has a yellow lightsaber. Now, look, I know in the games you're allowed to have all sorts of different lightsaber colors. That's fine. But I really do feel like it's a little more directed towards that. So overall, what did I think of this? I honestly thought it was kind of meh. I know a lot of people described it as being a fan film type quality. I actually didn't think it was that bad. It looked better than a fan film, although there's some damn fine fan films out there. But there's nothing about this that really makes me interested. Again, the takeaway is look at all the diverse characters. Look at all our diversity here. And then, of course, my favorite game, I think, will be, the Disney Star Wars version of Where's Waldo? Find the white dude, because didn't see any. So they'll probably show up as a bad guy. The red lightsaber at the end, well, we all know that only the Sith use a red lightsaber because they are the ones that bleed the kyber crystals and make it turn red. So are the Sith appearing now? That kind of flies in face of canon, because we do have the Phantom Menace.
Impossible. The Sith have been extinct for a millennium.
Yoda and Mace Windu said, they've been gone for a millennium. They didn't think the Sith could return without them knowing.
I do not believe the Sith could have returned without us knowing.
100 years before, this is the Acolyte, right? 100 years before the Phantom Menace? Well, guess who's around? Yoda's around. That's right. So you think Yoda, master on the Jedi Council, no doubt at this point, would have known about this? Most likely. So I think there's some canon issues there. How's it going to go? I honestly don't know. Just based on the history of Disney Star Wars lately with all the statements and everything, I do feel it's going to be more focused on scoring ESG points and DEI points than anything else. But who knows? I could be surprised. Whatever. We'll see. Maybe it'll actually be decent. But until we do see it, we're just going to keep speculating. Track record's not good. Questions, comments, witticisms down below. Click subscribe, click like, click share. See you guys later.
Kathy gets a lot of shit online. She was the one who made this show.
Oh, 100%.
And I think